All right, welcome back everyone to another Whiteboard Sessions with Clash, going over my favorite character in the game, Untitled Nest, specifically how to mod her for both offense and defense, and it's going to get pretty fun here. But first, I have to say thank you to everyone that has supported the channel over the past several months and what we've been able to create out of here and, of course, the Discord for Scoundrels. Can't thank you enough. We're on our road to 1,000 and we're getting very close. So if you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps out. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Untitled Nest. And if you haven't seen this slide, I encourage you to grab it. I put a link to it in the description below, so feel free to grab it there. You can also, of course, grab it in the Scoundrel Discord. But it really shows you just kind of all the ways in which you can use Nest to counter some really powerful teams and what you need to consider to do so. Offensively, I think everyone knows both. I mean, more than offense, the whole kit is around this fighting instinct unique. And so I'm going to go over why Tenacity, which is the kind of stereotypical build for her on offense, is useful. Not only do you get the stacking bonus protection into infinity, you get the stacking crit damage, stacking health steal, stacking crit chance. It's a pretty crazy, insane, unique, and one that we can definitely exploit in a lot of ways. But one of the reasons I want to talk about the Tenacity build is to avoid what are maybe the standard answers. I think everyone looks at Tenacity and says, oh, well, you know, it's great because I don't get dazed and I don't get stunned and etc. That is good. It's not to me the only or primary reason. Avoiding stun is great. Avoiding daze is great. Avoiding things like healing immunity and things that would keep you from being able to regen your protection are the most important to me. And under Akira leadership, she takes it to the next level. Avoiding those debuffs that keep her from being able to heal are super important. And it's not because she generates 10% protection regen on a crit, right? It doesn't take 10 crits to get full protection. This includes her bonus protection. So if you've been following into the other videos I've done on Nest, you might have remembered the one I did on Padme. The example I'm going to use here is, so you've got a 40,000 hit point Nest. That means every time she's hit, that's 16,000 bonus protection that she's getting per attack. So let's say you're going against a comp that has several assists or several attacks out of turn, and you get 20 attacks on your Nest in between each turn. That is going to equal 320,000 bonus protection. And it's also going to equal 32,000 protection back whenever you crit, because that's the number that you are regenerating your protection from. And I'm using the video footage from the one I had for Padme here, and you can really see this play out exactly as we just kind of looked at. The Padme comp here, they're going to take Nest down to essentially no protection. It's all health right now at this point. And that is just fine because remember, there was Akira leadership here. So when she attacks and she will crit, that will give 10% of all of the bonus protection, which in this case, I believe was about 33,489. Very effective and very useful in offense, and one of the ways that she can sustain against many of the other comps that are out there. Now let's talk about defense, because defense isn't necessarily as clear-cut. I think speed and potency are going to be the best for her, unless you're running under a Akira lead on defense as well, in which case you could probably get by with Tenacity. But again, with Night Sisters or any of those other comps that are out there, she opens with Kinetic Charge, which is an AoE daze and an AoE TMR, and she's one of the fastest base speeds in the game, so it's really easy to get her super, super fast. And when she gets super fast and she goes first on defense, that puts your opponent that's trying to attack that squad at a significant disadvantage that they might not even be thinking of. And that TMR is the main reason. Much in the way that you gain turn meter at the beginning of a fight with BB-8 and others for droids, it works the opposite direction for Nest. An example I would use here is, let's say you have a character on your squad that has 250 speed, and there's a character on the other squad that has 250 speed. Nest goes first. she's got potency, so she's going to land the TMR. You're going to take that speed, you're going to divide it by the 1.2, which is the turn meter removal. That means that new effective speed for that enemy is 208. You just gave that match off right there, a 42 speed advantage for your one character. Now you have to do that versus all of them, right? You can spread that effective speed reduction and speed increase on your side all over the place. And it's, again, to me, one of the best ways to get those squads that have a lot of turn meter mechanics and have a turn meter train that rolls very, very quickly, like the Night Sisters do, etc., for them to completely get out of hand. And it's one of those things where if they're not force closing, they're going to be in really rough shape. So that is my recommended mod for her on defense, again, unless it's a cure lead. Now, other primaries and secondaries to consider. On offense, again, if we're looking at tenacity, I think it's pretty straightforward. On the arrow, you've got a couple of options depending on where you're at with your survivability. Health if you're not up to that 40k range. Crit avoidance if you're, again, still finding that she's just not taking damage the way she should. Offense is what I run because I really like to get her up and running from a damage perspective quickly, or protection. Triangle CD is almost always going to be what you want to go with here because, again, it's just going to give her kind of a head start on that stacking CD and her unique. Tenacity on the cross, of course, and health for the circle. The health, main reason, of course, is that that's what the bonus protection is based on. So the more health you can get her, the better. Protection's not awful, again, if you're running under a cure lead because you regen that anyway, but health is my go-to for circle. Now, the secondaries you're going to want to consider, very easy. Tenacity, offense percent, and maybe you could look at other ones. Maybe there's another thing you could probably do here and there that would be useful, but those are really the main three: health, protection, anything that's going to keep her super durable. On defense, again, you're going with a speed set and a potency set, so it makes the primaries pretty easy. The arrow is going to be speed, not really another option there. The triangle, I messed this up whenever I drew this out, so you're not going to use a speed triangle. You can use a crit damage triangle. I wish they had speed triangles, that'd be great. For cross, of course, potency, and for the circle, you're also going to use health there as well. The secondaries, that's where you get a little bit more, okay, maybe fine-tuning. Speed, of course, is going to be your primary, but after that, you're going to want to balance the potency with your survival, so that includes things like health, protection, also your tenacity. So, again, all things to consider from both the primary and the secondaries perspective here. And it's also information that you'll find on that slide that you saw earlier in the video. So take a look back at that if you're wanting to use that as a reference specifically for the offense side. Now I'd like to go into some of the questions that I get about Nest in general. I don't claim to be the Nest expert at all. I know there are a lot of people that put a lot of time and energy into Nest, and so by no means are any of my comments here going to be the Bible for Nest, but hopefully you gain from maybe just my sincere obsession I've had with this kit and this character for the last several months. Is G13 worth it? I don't even know why it's a question. I just put a period. Yes, of course it's worth it. Can a high tenacity Nest beat blank? You name it. A lot of times yes, but oftentimes no. It really just depends on what is in the opposing enemy's comp, where there are some hidden traps that you might not be seeing, especially as it relates to potency, tenacity down, etc. We're going to go back into that in just a minute. How to counter Nest. So I get that one a lot too, because people come to me and say, well, you know about Nest, how do you get rid of her? First of all, it's blasphemy, I don't like it. But second of all, tenacity down is going to be her kryptonite. If you are going against a Nest and you're not using something like a Treya or Darth Nihilus that just wipes her off the canvas, tenacity down is really going to be the best way to lock her down and chip away at her health in between turns if you can stun. Anything to avoid? Yes. Let's actually talk about now. That kind of goes back to the second question there, but there's another slide I've been working on for Nest that goes over why you might fail against some of these other comps, and ultimately there's some ways you could get around it, but I think for me this is it's the best way to look at it. That's also going to be in the link in the description below. Last question here, where should I use Nest? offense or defense, especially when it comes to Grand Arena. And I don't have a good answer for you. I'm sorry. I can just tell you that I prefer offense because I prefer the ball to be in my own court. And so for me, I really appreciate her being able to counter all the things that she can counter. And really, again, if she's on defense, she can absolutely be a great thing for you, and she can shut down a whole node and can make life hell for your opponent. But again, I just prefer her to be on offense. So more your choice. If you haven't already, again, please hit the like and subscribe button. I've also added a link to my Patreon if you'd like to get additional access to special footage. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.